radical. Fundamental principles of freedom. Rational self-interest. The radical and individual fundamental principles of freedom. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Yaron Brook Show on this Wednesday morning. Kind of weird time to be doing a show, I know. But what the hell, let's do some reaction videos. Action Jackson is all excited. But yeah, do a little bit more flexible stuff, do some reaction videos, and respond to current events and things that are happening. Don't have a lot of time, so this will not be a regular show. This will be probably 30 minutes of me basically articulating my I guess responses to what happened last night or yesterday in the election front. So we'll talk a little bit about that, winners, losers, and stuff like that. Of course, it's still early. There are many, many races, and maybe the most important races. We have not gotten results yet. They're still up in the air, so we'll be able to update whatever we say today in the days and weeks ahead. It looks like Georgia is going to be. We won't know anything about Georgia, and Georgia might decide the control of the Senate, and Georgia will not be decided probably until December, because in Georgia you need 50% of the vote. And it looks like both candidates will be just under 50%. Although it does look like in a runoff, if I had a guess who's going to win in a runoff, you'd have to give a slight advantage to the Democrat in a runoff. But we will see. We will see what happens. All right. So. As usual, we take questions and we take supporters on the Super Chat. I don't know that I'll be able to answer all the Super Chat questions. I only have half an hour to cover this topic, but if you want to express your support for the show, if you want to express support for me doing more reaction videos, then go ahead and use the Super Chat to express that support. It's a great way to show support for what I am trying to do. Wow, we got quite a few people logging in. I'm surprised. This was a last-minute decision of mine to do this, and again, I don't have a lot of time, and only announced it a few minutes ago. So this is great. Even Catherine is here. And a few people have just woken up. I guess if they're on the West Coast, they're just waking up, unless they just sleep in mornings, which is also possible. Oh wait. So bottom line about the election yesterday, is that, the biggest loser from yesterday, I think, is Donald Trump. I mean, in that sense, it was a good election yesterday. I think in many other regards, it was a very bad election yesterday. But in the sense that I don't know if this will be the nail in the coffin of Donald Trump. I mean, he keeps coming back. You keep thinking you've killed him, and he keeps coming back. I would have thought that losing a presidential election as an incumbent would have been it for Donald Trump. But he came back. You would think that the defeat of Make America Great Again candidates, almost across the board, not across the board, some of them won, but that whole section of the Republican Party being defeated all across the country, there'd be no red wave, certainly no red tsunami. Maybe people are calling it a red trickle, but really, Republicans took a beating yesterday. The reality is that a midterm election with an incumbent who's this unpopular should have seen Republicans pick up the Senate by 2, 3, 4 votes. It should have seen Republicans pick up the House by 20, 30, 40 votes. It looks like the Senate, at best, Republicans will pick up one. At worst, they will lose one. It looks like in the House, Republicans will probably take a majority, but it's not even certain. I mean, that in itself is a shock. the idea that we're sitting here Wednesday morning and we can't say that the Republicans won the House of Representatives with certainty, wow, I would have never expected that. That is a surprise to me, even though I didn't think Republicans will do as well as some thought. That is a shock to me. I thought they would easily take the House. Almost every indication was that they were easily going to take the House, and they did not. A number of races in places like Virginia and elsewhere that people expected Democrats to lose and expected Republicans to gain didn't happen. It didn't happen. So across the board, this is about as good an election as one would expect. As good of an election as one would expect from the Democrats in a midterm election where the Democrats hold the presidency. I mean, the expectation is, if you look at all other than the 2002 post 9/11, almost at every midterm election, the president's party loses significantly. And here, president's party might lose a little bit, a tiny little bit. And the real question is going to be, and has to be, the real interesting question, I think, is why. It's not if. That, I think, is well established. Even if, somehow Republicans manage to win Arizona, which I don't think they will. They might win the governor of Arizona still, but we will see. I don't think they'll win the Senate in Arizona. They'll probably win in Nevada, which will make the Senate basically 50-50, waiting on the result from Georgia. But again, it's going to be underwhelming even if the Republicans pick up a seat. And then, of course, in the House, it looks like Republicans will get a majority, but not the kind of majority Kevin McCarthy was expecting, not the kind of majority a red wave or a red tsunami would suggest. So if you're a Democrat, you should be super happy, ecstatic today. If you're a Republican, got to look in the mirror. Something went very, very wrong. Something went very, very wrong. And I think basically the two issues I think that are worth talking about right now, I mean, there's going to be other stuff to talk about in the days and weeks to come. But the two issues are, one is Trump and two is abortion. The big winner really across the board this election was the issue of abortion, pro-abortion. I think it mobilized Democrats. It gave them a topic in a year where the Democrats had nothing really to talk about because the economy was going against them. Almost on every issue, they were unpopular. On the social issues, other than abortion, the country was moving away from them. And really the only issue they could hammer away at were two. Only issues they could hammer away at were two. One was abortion, and the second was election denial, crazy Republican candidates. And they did a very good job on both of those. The fact is that every ballot initiative that came to the forefront on the issue of abortion, it looks like was voted in the direction of the pro-choice, pro-abortion side. The so-called pro-life, the anti-abortion side, has lost on pretty much every one of those ballots. Abortion matters to Americans. Abortion matters to Republican women. So in places where decent Republican candidates ran and won, Republicans overwhelmingly voted for those candidates. But when it came to the abortion vote, a lot of Republicans voted against their party, if you will. And I think a lot of that is Republican women who I've known for a long time don't hold anti-abortion positions. They just stay quiet. They're afraid to voice their pro-choice positions, so they stay quiet. So the abortion issue played out well for Democrats. I think it motivated turnout, although again, turnout does not seem to be a significant issue in this election, but it shifted a lot of Republican votes who typically vote Republican across the board on the abortion issue, voted against the typical Republican position. So that's good news, and I think a lot of House races that looked close swung Democratic because of the abortion issue. I think that's certainly true in places like Virginia, in other places. So abortion rights are a significant victory this morning in terms of this election, right? This election. So that's one, right? The second is Trump. Trump is not popular. Trump is not popular. Trump has never been popular. He won in 2016, but then immediately became super unpopular. He is not popular among independents. He's not popular among Democrats. He's not popular among many Republicans. Since Trump won in 2016, Republicans lost the House in 2018, the Senate and the White House in 2020, and now in a year where they should have done phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. Republicans should have swept in. There should have been a wave. There should have been a tsunami. Look at the economy. Look at Biden's popularity. I mean, it's just unthinkable how bad Republicans have done in this election. No matter what the outcome of the next few, he's done unbelievably badly. And why is it? Because character matters. And people despise, justifiably, the character of Donald Trump. Because lying, explicitly lying, provocatively lying in American people's faces about things that Americans care about, like elections. Election denialism was thoroughly defeated in this election. Now, again, some candidates who are election deniers won, but it's interesting. The governor of Wisconsin, who said, once I'm done, Wisconsin will always vote Republican, or Republicans will always win. The Arizona Secretary of State, who is an election denier, who said he would have never certified the 2020 election. Of course, in the primaries already in Georgia, all the election denialists lost. So you've got Oz losing. You've got we'll see what happens in Arizona. That's yet to be defined. But across the board, it seems that, well, not across the board, because some election denialists did win, but in the important races, election denialists lost. So American people are not ready to accept people who try to steal elections. I mean, look at Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams was an election denialist. She claims she didn't lose the last gubernatorial race. She ran again on an election denialist somewhat platform on the Democratic side. What was the consequence? She lost big time this time. I mean, big time, wasn't even close. Americans don't buy it. Americans respect a loser who admits to losing and, behaves like a man. Maybe that's a sexist comment. But anyway, man's up to the fact that they lost. So, so I think that an election denialist, just as I hoped, and I have to say, in that sense, I'm happy about this election. Election denialists seem to have lost big time. We'll see. Again, Arizona's the big question mark, but it seems that across the board, some will still pass, like Johnson in Wisconsin will still get elected, and others in other places. But in New Hampshire, the guy lost. Where else was it? There were other New York for governor, the Republican lost. So in places where Republicans nominated election denialists, Trump-like candidates, unhinged candidates, those candidates lost, or at least so far. We'll see Arizona. So that's great news. That is really good news. The bad news is, of course, the Democrats won. So the question now is, what are the Democrats going to learn from this? Is it going to reinvigorate their woke culture? Is it going to reinvigorate their statist tendencies in economics? Or will they learn the lesson, which I think is correct, that the reason they won is not because of their virtues. American people don't like them. But the reason they won is because of the abortion issue. The Supreme Court basically handed them the issue. And because Republicans were so pathetic. And then, of course, what will the Republicans learn? And we'll know this. Trump's big announcement is 6 days, I guess. Is the Republican Party going to coalesce against Trump in spite of the fact that he is a loser? Or is the Republican Party going to coalesce around, somebody who clearly won yesterday? And the big victor yesterday, on every front, the big victor yesterday was DeSantis. He turned Florida completely red. They flipped House seats. They overwhelmingly won the Senate. And he won an overwhelming victory as governor. Not only that, flipping a Democratic county. I mean, Miami-Dade has always been Democratic, always. And taken for granted as Democratic. And went overwhelmingly, I think, both for DeSantis and for the Senate candidate. Now again, I'm not a big DeSantis fan. let's not get too excited about this. But I'm not a big DeSantis fan. And we'll see how he runs for president, what he's like as a presidential candidate. But I am not a DeSantis fan, but he sure beats. We're seeing the shift in the Republican Party. Republican Party this election basically has said no to Trump, yes to DeSantis. Now, whether the hardcore of the Republican Party, the people who vote in the primaries, the people who get energized around primaries, will hold to that, whether they'll stick to that, and whether in a context between Trump and DeSantis, Trump can't still win, I don't know. But yesterday was DeSantis' day, and it was not Trump's day. A lot of the candidates Trump endorsed, a lot of the candidates Trump was most excited about, a lot of the candidates who mimicked and Trump's talking points lost. So does the Republican Party learn from this? Does it now abandon Trump? Does it now start coalescing around somebody like DeSantis, or having a real primary, having a real competition for president? Does the Republican Party become serious? One of the things that I think that was one of the things that I think was important about this election is Republicans had no positive message. Their only message was, we're not Democrats. The positive message was vaguely, we'll fight against crime. How do you do that at the federal level? Exactly, not clear. Their general message was, we'll fight against inflation. How? What would you do different with regard to inflation? What economic policies are you going to do differently than Biden? Nothing. Zero. So the Republican Party was basically ran on no platform. No positive ideas, no positive messaging, nothing inspiring. They ran on, but Trump, they ran on whining, they ran on complaining, they ran on anti-Democrats, and that didn't work. Will the Republican Party now learn from this, shift, and look for and articulate a strong, positive message, a pro-American message, a pro-founding fathers message, a pro-constitution message? Or will they continue to be the party of, but we're not Democrats? Or will they continue to be the party of, but we won and they stole the election? Will they continue to be the party of Donald Trump, mindless, idealess, and dishonest, or will they embrace a different direction? And I think we'll know that in the next few days. We'll know that in the response to whatever announcement Trump's make. I think this morning the odds of Trump running for president have gone down. I think he expected a red wave and a red tsunami, and in that case, he would have definitely run for president. I think now the odds are down. I don't think they're negative. I don't think they're small, but they're down from what they were yesterday. There's a chance that he won't run for president, that he use this opportunity to somehow bow out claim he never intended to run. We'll see. But the extent to which Donald Trump now becomes an insignificant part of the Republican Party, that is the extent to which it'll be determined whether the Republicans have learned their lesson or not from this election. I think at the end of the day, we're going to get divided government as I want. I think we're going to get a Republicans House, a very small majority in the House, but enough to basically veto the bad stuff the Democrats want. I think support for Ukraine will continue because I don't think the Republicans will have enough votes to stop that. I think in the Senate, it'll either be 50-50 or 51-49 in either direction, but it doesn't really matter because Republicans will already have veto power in the House. I hope that the Democrats don't pick up a seat. That would be, I think, really bad because that'll. I mean, ideally, what you would get now is 51-49 for Republican Senate, but that is so small of a victory that it won't. And hopefully they win Nevada. I don't know what I want to happen in Georgia. I really don't. I mean, Walker's such a bad candidate that there's a lot in me that says, yeah, just let him lose, and again, let him lose so the Republicans learn the lesson. Character matters, quality of candidates matters, ideas matter, presenting some vision matters. There was an old saying, and then I'll go to Super Chat. There's an old saying that Clinton coined in 1992, and that is, it's the economy, stupid. It's not the economy, stupid. It never was the economy, stupid, and it's not the economy, stupid now. It's ideas. It's having a positive alternative. It's projecting positive values. It's not being mindless in the way Republicans are. I'm not saying Democrats have ideas, but you want to change the status quo. You've got to present a better alternative. You want to defeat the Democrats, you have to present a better alternative. And the way Republicans embraced zero on abortion, no abortion, life at conception, that, I think, was incredibly destructive. The way they embraced denialism about Trump's loss in 2020, that is incredibly destructive. And the way they embrace Trump's mannerisms and attitudes and Trump himself, that was a negative. And if those go away, Republicans can win. America is still a right of center country. It is not a leftist country. It does not like woke, as you can see in local elections where woke is the issue. It does not like CRT, as you can see in local elections where CRT is the issue. It does not like socialism, as you can see in the lack of popularity for much of what Biden has done. So Republicans just need to clean up their act. And it's going to take a lot for them to clean up their act because all the Republican operatives and all the Republican intellectuals are bought into this corrupt messaging. But this is their opportunity. They got a signal. The market sent them a clear indication of what they think of the Republican Party. All right. So Alexa says, hi, Iran. What are the signs to watch for an upcoming Trumpization of the GOP? Something like that. I think the reaction to whatever it is that Trump announces, certainly one sign will be if Trump announces he's not running for president. That would be an important signal that the Republican Party is moving on. But also, if Trump says he is running, and the response is lukewarm or even negative or just uninteresting, then I think that the Republicans are moving on. I think we'll see what happens in Nevada. I think Nevada is a big deal. Whether Kerry Lake pulls it out, I don't think Masters has much of a chance, but maybe because it hasn't been called for the Democrats. And then, but Arizona will be a good benchmark. If they lose Arizona, if Republicans lose Arizona, remember it was a Republican governor in Arizona. That'll be a flip in the governor's mansion. A number of states have flipped Democratic. Maryland flipped, and Massachusetts flipped. Yeah. Kerry Lake is still favored to win Arizona, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a lot of people's expectations. A lot of people's expectations about this election have turned out to be wrong. A lot of predicted, I think, has not worked out the way people thought it would work out. So we'll see. She's behind by a little bit, but there are a lot of precincts still reporting that are probably going to be Republican based. So Kerry Lake might win, either though Masters will probably lose, and I think the Secretary of State one they will lose. Whoops. I think what happened. All right, that's not working. Let's try this. We'll get the video back in a second, I hope. All right. We'll get video back in a second. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, I think that the real signs of the response to Trump, and and how that goes. No, that is not working. All right, one more thing, and then we'll see. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to keep talking, but talking and trying to do this is a little hard. So it's going to be, again, how the Republican Party starts setting itself up for 2024. Who at the leadership of the Republican Party, it takes the fall for this. Who survives? Who leads the campaign for 2024? We'll know within 2-3 months whether they're moving away from Trump or not. Who leads the National Republican Party, who is going to be the senatorial campaign. A lot of people took a hit this time, but I think the biggest thing that took a hit, and this is, I don't know that other people are going to talk about this, but Republicans, McCarthy and McConnell, purposefully ran a campaign that was idealess. They purposefully did not have an agenda with America, a contract with America. They purposefully ran a campaign that was anti the Democrats. It purposefully made no positive arguments, made no, positive claims. So to the extent that they rethink that might be the most important thing. We need the Republicans to have an agenda, even if it's an agenda I don't completely like. This needs to be a battle of ideas, not a battle of personalities. They'll lose on the battle of personalities. At least, they'll lose a significant number because, Trump has brought out some of the worst elements within the Republican Party, and we're seeing that now. Okay, Brian asked, do these results restore faith in the American people, or is this an acceptance of Democratic agenda? I don't think it's an acceptance of the Democratic agenda. Again, I think the country is still right of center. I think it's true that young people are mostly left, but young people are almost always mostly left. These young people are more left than in the past, but I think that changes as they grow older. I also think that, again, one of the reasons they're left is because the Republicans have done such a bad job articulating any kind of argument. But look, both political parties are terrible, and I think on the issue of the character, the kind of candidates you had, I think states that could have gone easily Republicans, like Pennsylvania, didn't, because who wants to vote for Dr. Oz? or could have gone Republican like Arizona. Who wants to really vote for Blake Masters? Who wants to, Georgia, which is clearly a red state, who wants to vote for Herschel Walker? I mean, look how well the governor of Georgia did. I mean, he basically crushed Stacey Adams. Why couldn't they take the Senate? They should have crushed the Democrat because they nominated an awful candidate. Awful. So I think it restores, well, it doesn't restore my faith in the American people because I don't have that much. Again, ideologically, this country is far, far away from where I think it should be. I think this country is far, far away from the ideas that I stand for. But I think what this shows me is that American people are not quite yet willing to rally around at least the complete emptiness, the complete pragmatism, the complete power lust, the complete we'll do anything, say anything, stand for anything just to gain power kind of Republican Party. That they're not going to tolerate. They're not going to tolerate the kind of lying that Trump has elevated through his explicit pragmatism. That is a good thing, and that has restored a little bit of faith that I have. All right, I'm gonna have to do these really, really quickly because I don't have a lot of time. I just want to do this quickly. Let me just see. Kenny, thank you, says finally a reasonable hour from him. Bash Brannigan says, do you think this result will keep Trump from running for president? I don't know how to read Trump's mind. I never can. I think it definitely reduces the probability, but I don't know by how much. I don't really have an assessment. And again, I think what happens in Arizona is still going to be really, really important. If Kerry Lake ekes it out, he might still interpret this as a positive. So I think Arizona is going to be crucial to what Trump decides, but it does reduce the probability, no question about it. A red tsunami would have guaranteed a Trump run, and this was a red trickle. Hello from Norway, you're on. What is your relation with Craig Biddle, and why aren't you doing more stuff together? Have a great day. I don't like Craig Biddle. I don't trust Craig Biddle. I don't like Craig Biddle. I will have nothing to do with Craig Biddle. Craig Biddle has written some horrible stuff about me. He is supported by a man who has said and done horrible stuff, said horrible stuff about me and done horrible stuff to me. I have no interest in working with Craig Biddle or doing anything with Craig Biddle. And he has no interest in doing anything with me as well. So let him do his stuff. I'll do my stuff. All in that sense, all is good. And you guys evaluate who you think is right on these issues, and who you think does a better job for whatever. Wes, thank you, Wes. $50, really appreciate it. Glad you got to catch this live. Danielle, I wrote you in for the governor of Minnesota. I'm waiting for the phone call. I'm waiting for the call. I'll rush up to Minnesota. I'll cancel everything and I'll take the position of governor if that becomes a reality. Thank you, Daniel, for the trust. Michael says Ron DeSantis inherited a purple state and turned it bright red. He is clearly going to be the 2024 nominee. Nothing is clearly in this Republican Party, but it certainly was his day yesterday. So let's see what happens. Michael says Trump just knows how to get attention. He knows what a pain in the ass running for president is. He's not going to put himself through it again. I hope you're right. I'm rooting for you, Michael. Joe, $75. Thank you, Joe. That's brilliant. Thank you. Love all the work you do. Sorry for an off-topic question. I don't usually have a chance to join the live show. Did you ever read American Banker? And if so, did you find it useful in the perspective of an investor in financial services company? Do you ever? Oh, American Banker is the journal, the American Banker, the magazine, the American Banker. I certainly do reference it, and I've been interviewed in the American Banker. I've actually had my voice in the American Banker. I do find it useful as an investor in banking. I do find it useful. It has interesting stories about banks, interesting stories about CEOs of banks. I don't think I'm subscribed anymore. It's quite expensive, and I get the same information from other sources. But yes, I invest in community banks in the U.S. And in that sense, it is valuable. All right, let's see. Bash Brannigan asks, Ayn Rand expressed a belief in American common sense. Would that be playing a part here? Yes, I definitely think so. I don't think the American common sense or the American sense of life really is with Trump. I don't think it is. I don't think it's with Biden either. I think the American people have clearly expressed that they don't like Biden and they don't like Trump. And I think maybe the outcome of this election is that neither Biden or Trump run for president. That would be terrific. Let's get some fresh faces. Let's get some young people. If I had a bet right now, I'd say we're going to face an election in 2024. But of course, God, I mean, so much can happen between now and 2024. But between the governor of California and the governor of Florida, it'll be an election that has two clear, very distinct visions for this country. It'll have two people. A lot of the decision making will be based on how they responded to COVID, which I think will be interesting. But also, it'll be just on their general attitude. Now, there are a lot of things about DeSantis I do not like, but I think a race between him and I don't think Kamala Harris has any chance. But between him and California will be clear cut. It will be a choice. Again, neither one is a good choice, overwhelmingly good choice, but at least it'll be much more ideological in terms of the conflict between the two, much more ideological in terms of the content of the race. I think they're both, there's a sense in which they're both stand-up people. They both have ideas and they stand by those ideas and they push for them. Neither one of them is a nutcase. Neither one of them is a narcissist. Neither one of them is a complete and utter pragmatist. Although I think both do things pragmatically, but I don't think they are on principle pragmatists like Trump is. So again, I think that would be an interesting election. There's always hope for other candidates on both left and right. I can still hope for Nikki Haley, although I think her chances are pretty minuscule. But again, her chances today are better than her chances 2 days ago. Her chances post this election are better than the chances of a political party completely and utterly dominated by Donald Trump. All right. Let me just see something here. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think we're done. I have to run for another. I've got another gig in 5 minutes, so I should prepare for that. Thank you all for listening live. I hope this added a little bit of value, a little bit of clarity, at least in my view. We'll talk about this again once we get more results in. Particularly, the results from Arizona and Nevada are going to be super interesting. So this is great. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room. I'm speaking later today at the University of Indiana Bloomington at the law school for the Federalist Society. So we're going to be talking about inflation. I'm sure the election might come up as well. So that's going to be fun. Tomorrow I'm driving or being driven to Akron University, where I'll be speaking also to the law school, to the Federalist Society over there. So these are kind of right of center law students, conservatives and libertarian types. So it'll be fun. Tomorrow's actually a debate on the regulatory state. And then on Friday, I'll be talking to really Republicans. It'll be a dominantly, heavily Republican group in Colorado at Leadership Program of the Rockies. That'll be really interesting because I'm sure they'll be eager to talk about the election, and yet my topic is not election related, and I'm not really supposed to talk much about the elections, but I will. The people who hire me might not be happy with me, but anyway, it'll be a really interesting, and of course, Colorado will go the other way. Colorado, the Republican Party elected to run for Senate somebody who is anti-Trump Republican, and he lost to the Democrat. But I think Colorado now is pretty solidly blue, unless a candidate is super charismatic. Okay, quickly, Michael says, the Florida legislature used to be mixed between Democrats and Republicans. Now it's almost all Republicans. Both senators are Republicans, and Florida became the freest state in the country, according to Cato and Heritage Foundation. Florida has been the freest state in the country for a long time. That is not DeSantis' doing. He did not make it the freest state. It was, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that in the index of free states, Florida has been the freest state for a long time. It doesn't have a state income tax. That is true, has been true for a long time. And it has some of the loosest regulatory policies of any state in the country in terms of business formation and other things. And that's been true for a long time. So none of that yet is attributed to DeSantis. Not that I'm saying DeSantis hasn't done a decent job. In some respects he has, in other respects he's done a terrible job. But we'll get to that when we get to talk about DeSantis in the future as he runs for president. I'm not a DeSantis cheerleader, and I doubt I will be. DeSantis has played way too much into the cultural wars, way too much into the Trumpist attitudes. But anyway, thanks everybody. I will see you all certainly on Saturday. I might try to do a few more shorter shows, or maybe late night shows, if depending on the timing and depending on the hotels in the next few days. Bye everybody. See you soon. Thanks all the super chatters. This was great. You guys did fantastic for such a short show. Thank you for the support to everybody who supports the Iran Book Show. Bye everybody.